My name is Jason. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. Here from Experiences in Channeling. Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. I just wanted to come on to talk a little bit about certain things or a few things that are on my mind. Um, in the background, you can see my site. If you're interested, please check it out. There's a lot of stuff to check out there. And yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, I always show the yin and yang symbol. So one thing that I've kind of realized um, in my time channeling, so I started this channel around 2020 or 2019 or somewhere around there. And so I started channeling around that time as well and discovering a whole bunch of different things. It took me down many different pathways that I never really thought I would go down. And I think if I met myself from now 10 years ago, I would be really shocked. Like, what are you doing? Oh, hey, Kathy, driving but listening. All right. So yeah, so um, yeah, so just that's what 5 years ago I started and had all kinds of experiences and learned a lot of stuff that I don't think I would have ever learned any other way. And was taken down the garden path a few times, and as you are. And but what I wanted to talk today about, okay, I'll just get into what I want to talk about. I know everyone's kind of thinking about the whole world situation, but I'm not. I'm actually thinking about cycles. And I've been thinking a lot about cycles recently. And the reason that I'm thinking about cycles is because here I live in Japan, and in Japan, and I think most of Asia, in April, this is the time, this is like the beginning of the real beginning of the new year. And this is when everyone starts school again. This is when most of the big companies in Japan, people will be moved every year, every 2 years. You'll have to move to a new city, move your whole family or whatever. Sometimes it's just, yeah. And so it's a crazy time. People are like, families are kind of being broken up in that sense. And it's a stressful time, and everyone's really stressed out. And it's also all the young people starting their first job ever and all that kind of stuff. And um, and it's also the cherry blossom time, and it's also the time of wind. Wind is one of the elements on the earth, and it's one of my least favorite elements. I talked about that before, just because it causes a lot of change. When the wind comes, it whips things up, and you can't hold on to anything. You just have to let it all go. And it's always really stressful until it all settles down right around May, the beginning of May. But this is that wild, windy time. And and I was thinking about cycles. And so I've been dealing with this issue with cycles. So in April, everyone freaks out, and that's fine. People freak out. But if you're a little bit tuned emotionally to what people are feeling, if you're empathic, you can pick up on the whole kind of mass consciousness, and you kind of feel what everyone's feeling. And you'll just be kind of sitting at home doing nothing. Then all of a sudden you have a panic attack. Well, and then you realize, oh, that's what's happening. Because there's nothing that in my life that would cause that. And then so you just look around at what's happening around you and think, yeah, I'm just picking up on stuff. And these past few days, I've been picking up on a lot of stuff. It's kind of abated a bit, but there was some deep, dark, dirty stuff that was coming up, like heavy, evil, blah, yuck stuff. But anyway, that's the mass consciousness, and that's what we're part of. Yay. But not to be sarcastic about it, but we're all a part of this mass consciousness, and so we pick up on what we're all feeling, because we're all in this together, and that's the whole point. But I thought about cycles and how cycles can really screw us over at times, right? So, for example, in Japan, every time it's April, everyone, even though there's nothing really going on in their life, even though there might not be too much change, they're going to start thinking about change. They're going to, I got to think about my life. I got to do this. I got to do this. And it's just like, why do you think about, it's an outward force controlling your life. Cycles. Our world is built on cycles. We have these seasons. We have the night, we have the day, we have the stars, we have the zodiac. We have all of these different cycles that we are in. And a cycle, you think about like a hamster on a wheel. It's a similar sort of thing. We're just going around in circles and circles and circles. And what it does, though, is it takes us away from going inside. Like when we go inside, we realize that we're not a part of this. So this yin and yang symbol, for example, this is not like what we really are. This is just the third dimension. This is just a depiction of what is going on our third dimension. You got the good side, you got the bad side, you got a little bit of the good and the bad, and a little of the bad and the good, and then you got the middle path, which is the closest to the truth. And the middle path, this is what, right, for example, in Buddhism, there was, the middle path. And this is the whole concept of just not getting caught up in all the polarities. And again, that's what's going on in our world. The polarities are being really whipped up with the wind and everything, so that we realize this. So wait, I don't want to be a part of any polarity. All this stuff is just nuts. I'm just going to go back into the middle path and find my peace. And that's what we're at this moment. We're at a moment where we're escaping cycles, I think is what. And cycles are what kind of control us. And there's nothing wrong with them. The cycles are fine. There's seasons, there's the stars, the astrology, all that kind of stuff. It's there, it's good. And it helps us to understand like a third dimensional kind of viewpoint on the world. But it's not us. It doesn't really describe who we are. We're love. And we are beyond those seconds. We're beyond those cycles. We are when we go inside. So when you start to meditate, so like I meditate every morning. I do the Course of Miracles kind of meditation, and then it gets real free form. But I just sit in quiet in meditation, and within about 6 or 7 minutes, I reach this point where I just feel the love. You feel the love, and the love that is everything. And it's just this beautiful feeling. And I used to get into that space, and I used to do a lot of channeling in that space. Okay, so who's in this space? Who wants to communicate? But now, I was guided by God, and He's like, why do you have to do that? Why don't you just enjoy the peace? And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's what we're all searching for. We're all searching for peace, right? All these cycles are crazy. They go up and down. It's day, it's night, it's cold, it's hot. You're sweating, you're freezing, you're scared. All of these, but all we really want is peace. We don't want all these cycles all the time. We just want to relax. But the only way to relax is to go inside. When you go inside, you realize that, like every day is a beautiful day. Every day is a celebration. This goes back to, like, for example, Christmas. This is something that really helped. So Tina Spalding and the Course in Miracles, so her interpretations of some of the lessons really helped me to work on this seasonal stuff where people, we like Christmas, for especially Christmas. It's a very stressful day for many of us, and it causes a lot of psychological problems. It's just depressing. And you put so much expectation on that one day, and it's just one day. There's nothing special there. I mean, the only special is you. You're the special part, and what you can bring to it. And so, but once you kind of escape from that expectation, you put expectation on this day or this thing or that, and that's how we're controlled, and that's how we're taken away from the inside. Every day is a holiday. Every second is a holiday. Every, this instant right now is the instant. This is the place to be, not, 6 months from now or 7 months from now, or when something that you want to happen happens. No. It's right here. Because your happiness has nothing to do with these cycles, right? We put our happiness onto these cycles, but, happiness is happiness, right? If you want to be happy, be happy, It doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. It's a choice. Your happiness is a choice. And what you do is what you do, and they're two separate things. Some things you do can make you happy, right? They can make you feel fulfilled, but it's a choice. It's always a perspective. Are you seeing things from fear or from love? Are you understanding, like the Course in Miracles, are you understanding that everything's for your own good, even though stuff is, can be real crappy? It's still, if you're able to kind of see that everything is there for you. All right, so I just wanted to talk about those cycles, and the reason it kind of got into my mind was I was thinking about this, the Gospel of Judas. So I've been checking out the Gnostic Gospels. I myself am not very. I grew up in like Catholic, or no, I went to Catholic school, and my family was Lutheran, but I did not like I don't like churches. They make me feel weird when I go there. Sorry, that's just a personal thing. No, no. But yeah, I used to always, tell my parents, please don't make me go. I don't want to go there, please. Um, Nothing against it, but but I'm religious in the sense that I believe in God and I believe in love, but I just don't. I have a kind of thing against organized things, I guess. So that has nothing to do with anything. Sorry. But Gospel of Judas, though, is really interesting because so here, I think I talked about this before, but so so Jesus is talking to his disciples, and they're kind of talking about all kinds of stuff, and then Jesus, one thing, so he's talking about stars, and so here he says, I say to you, my name has been written on this house in the generation, not this one, the stars that finish everything. This is an interesting thing. Jesus said, this is related to what I want to talk about. Stop sacrificing animals. You've offered them over the altar, over your stars with your angels where they've already been completed. So let them become. So some of this stuff is cut out. This is from the Nag Hammadi, so supposedly found in the desert. But he's talking about stars, and so this comes from, and I'm not an expert on this, but it comes from kind of like the ancient Greek kind of understanding of stars, that stars are kind of like guides. Our stars are guides. And so here he says, stop struggling against me. Each one of you has his own star. Okay. All right. And then there's one. Yeah. So Jesus is saying something to Judas. He takes Judas away and says, hey, Judas, I got some stuff to tell you. And he tells him a whole bunch of stuff that Judas does not want to hear. But Judas is like, oh, wait, Jesus, I have this vision. I want to tell you about it. And Jesus is like, your star has led you astray, Judas. And then here's the famous thing. I've taught you about the error of the stars. And so there are many ways of looking at this, and everyone's free to look at it however you want. I mean, this is, something written, according to our accepted history 2,000 years ago, and maybe it was only about 1,000, but either way, it's old. It's just an old book, right, in that sense. But it's an interesting one, and something that many people refer to a lot, and we use the error of our stars, right? That's a common phrase used. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is the stars, astrology, the stars in our sky. And so we go through different ages, right? We're going into, I think we're exiting the age of Pisces and entering the age of Aquarius, right? So, for example, and that everyone has their own birth year, and that says certain things about you. And for example, the Chinese Tao, it goes even more in depth. Like, you can go really, really in depth, and it can accurately describe a lot of things about your life, right? But it's your human life, right? It's not really about who you really are. It's not about who you are in love. So in a sense, it is a false structure that's kind of imposed on us. And so this is what I wanted to talk about. So we're living in kind of a matrix structure, right? We're all living in this matrix, and it's a false structure. It's, for example, like even the seasons, even the calendars are changed so that we don't experience the actual seasons the way we should. So even our time and everything is to disorient us and get us away from, what is it? Going inside, meditating. So like all this stuff, for example, the Bible and the Gnostic Bible, it's all wonderful stuff, but it's like, in the end, all you need to do is go inside. Like, this is all just academics, right? Because it's just words unless you feel it. unless you can really, if you really start to experience it. Um, so, but I just wanted to talk about that, and I'm a little bit all over the place, but I think you'll kind of be able to follow me. So, okay, stars. That was the one thing, and then this part about stop sacrificing animals, right? And I think this is really interesting to me, about like the kind of Old Testament, New Testament. Old Testament was they're sacrificing stuff. In the New Testament, they said, you know, Jesus is the last one, last sacrifice. You don't have to do that anymore, right? And you know, however you look at that, however you see it, it's an interesting story. And it reminded me. So I live in Japan, right? And so um, I myself have been. So this is Ben Zaiten. She is Saraswati, the goddess Saraswati, and she I somehow had this connection with her. I don't know how that happened, but even before I started channeling, I would kind of just her name would come up, the energy would come up, and the first time I was introduced to her, I was at Lake Biwa. Lake Biwa is a beautiful, beautiful lake in the middle of Japan. It's really, really nice. Actually, a lot of people from all over the world are buying up property around the lake. It's just a beautiful lake, and it's really peaceful. But in the middle of this lake, there is an island. It's called Chikubu Island, and yeah, well, it's not in the middle, as you can see here. It's kind of near the top. But anyway, it's in a body of water. And so you have to take a boat out into this island, and no one necessarily. I don't know if anyone. I think it's just the whole island is a big shrine to Ben Zaiten, who is Saraswati, and it's kind of like a magical place to go to, and so when I went there, I was really amazed by that. And I started kind of researching a little bit about Ben Zaiten and Saraswati. And then when I went to India, I had a lot of interactions with her. Not necessarily, so I wasn't channeling or seeing at that time, but I just there's just all these like synchronicities that kept happening. And and then what interested me though about her, and is that all of the places where she is kind of what's the word? I don't know if they would say worshipped, but she's honored. It's always a body of water with a small island in the middle. And you'll see it all over Japan. If you go over Japan, you'll see these like bodies of water, and there's like a tiny island right in the middle. You think, well, that's really strange, and it's very, very common. And I thought, what is going on with this? And I was researching, I couldn't find anything about it. And finally, I found out some stuff about it. That what happened was, so here's another island. Enoshima is another island, and or you can just say Eno Island, Eno. But on this island, there was a body of water, and in the body of water, there was a 5-headed dragon. Let's see, this guy, Gozu Ryu. It almost sounds like Godzilla, Gozu Ryu. Yeah, maybe that's where it comes from. But here he is, 5-headed dragon, and this 5-headed dragon was tormenting the people, and they were. What was he? He was causing all kinds of. What were they doing? Destructive things. I guess well, I don't know what was happening, but something. He was destroying things, and they had to appease it. And so they used to offer sacrifices to it. They would put sacrifices into the water to appease this dragon. And then Ben Sama came. So Ben Sama, she came. Where's the story? The story is that Ben 10 came to the island, and she's very, very beautiful. And I've seen her in my channeling before. She is very, very beautiful. She's very yeah. She looks, it's similar, like kind of similar to, well, this is not a really good depiction of her, but in this kind of way. It's funny, a lot of the Asian goddesses will appear this way when you see them. But one thing that's different is that their face, it's kind of hard to focus on it. Like it's just moving. It's continually shifting and changing. Um, just a note: I don't actively channel these people anymore. I try to stick with. I'm on my channeling journey. I'm trying to stick more and more just with source and just a few beings that I really really feel comfortable with. Um, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yes, so she she descended onto the island, and the dragon fell in love with her, and he said, "Hey, do you want to go out?" And she's like, "No, you're kind of mean to the people." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll never do it again." And then he turned into a statue, and anyway, but the idea is that, sorry, I'm kind of not giving it its due, but generally that's the story. He's like, "Hey, I like you," and she's like, "Oh, you're mean to the people," and he's like, "Oh, I'll never do it again." And but in the story, what happens is that's how Benzaitan, she domesticates this dragon, so he doesn't do that anymore. So they don't have to give any sacrifices um, to this dragon, right? And that's the idea, right? And it's very similar to the idea of Jesus, right? And it's also similar to a lot of the Buddhist temples here in Japan. You'll go to a Buddhist temple and you'll see that, so, Buddhism is, Buddhism, right? But then there's all these other like crazy demon looking things all over the place. And you think, what the heck is going on with these demons? The idea is that when they came, they were kind of syncretized. Syncretized means they're kind of mixed in with the religion there, and Buddha kind of tamed them all and put them to work, kind of thing. And so yeah, so that's the idea of this. So, and there's so much stuff with this. This is a story by Neil Gaiman. It's called Lakeside, and so yeah, Lakeside. This is a story about Shadow. Shadow is, well, I don't even know how I can go to it. There's a book called American Gods, right? And Shadow is this one. He's kind of like, in the story, he's a son of one of the gods. He's kind of half god, right? And he is trying to escape from the new gods, basically the gods of money and the gods of commerce and technology. And you'd have to read the book to get it, but it's a really interesting book, actually. I really like it. I think I've read it like 3 or 4 times now. But this one portion of the book really interested me because he went to Lakeside, and it was such a beautiful little street. Main Street, which they were on, was a pretty street, even at night, and it looked old-fashioned in the best sense of the word, as if for 100 years people had been caring for that street, and they had not been in a hurry to lose anything they liked. It's a time bubble. So I talked about these before, time bubbles. It's a time bubble. And the reason it's a time bubble is, so in this place, there's a lake. And in the middle of the lake, there's this, every year they have this like raffle. And they take this old car, or some old clunker car, and then they kind of like submerge it into the water. But actually in the trunk, there was something else. And what that was is very similar to the offering to the five-headed dragon, and also to the Old Testament sort of stuff. So yeah, but that's what kept that city in that kind of time bubble. Miss Peregrine's School for, what was this? School for something children. That movie is a similar thing. Time bubbles. Time bubbles are all over the place, and so this brings me to what. So the reason I'm talking about all this stuff is cycles. So how can I explain it? And I don't even know how to explain it, actually, but just that when I was going through, I going through all kinds of different shrines all over Japan, and just kind of feeling the energies of these shrines, I would sometimes, I would sense that there was energy that was sealed in the shrine, and that energy was being used, was being siphoned off. And so these beings would say, "Hey, get me out of here." And so that was a lot of times what I would do. It's like, "Oh, okay, I was helping a lot of beings who were sealed, who were trapped." Um, talked about, how beings can be trapped in crystals, like the genie in the lamp, but it's not the lamp, it's the crystal, the genie in the crystal. Um, so there's just sealed energy all over the place, and it's a control grid. And so, what am I getting to, right? So yeah, this is a good question for me as well. But I think in the end, the answer is always going inside. The answer is that our world is a little bit more in depth and complicated than we understand it to be, and there's another side to it in that sense. And we're all slowly becoming more and more aware of it. I think that's what I'm coming to. Yeah, that's what my point was. That as we're kind of waking up, we're all kind of waking up to everything. We're waking up to energy, and we're being able to feel the energy, like this time bubble place. Like, have you ever been in one of those towns where you think, wow, this is such a quaint town, it feels so nice, it's so, wow, it's just like time stopped, because it has. And you look around at the people, and something in their eyes has stopped as well. They're in a time bubble. And so, what we can do as light workers in a time bubble is we shine our light in the time bubble. Our light is outside of the time bubble. So, the light can't be quenched by the time bubble. And so, when people see that light, they can see that light and say, oh, wow, I haven't seen that light in a long time. What is that? They don't know they're in a bubble. You don't know you're in a bubble until you find out you're in a bubble. And then you see that light. Or you can, for example, those towns where people say like, I can never get out of this. People can never get out of this town. We're all stuck in this town. Yeah, probably you are. It's a time bubble. And so, but what the light workers can do is come in and first of all help to clear that energy, reclaim that territory. This is not reclaim that territory for love. This territory is a love territory now. Reclaiming the territory. It's not about sealing energy. And I think that's maybe what I'm getting to too. I think this whole idea of sealing, we have to seal the energy. We clear the energy. We clear the energy. We reclaim it. We don't seal things. We just, for example, it's like a parasite, right? Like there's parasites in the ground. There's parasites everywhere. There's viruses and bacteria. We don't seal them. We're like, I seal you in this crystal. No, who does that, right? Why do you do that? Stop doing that. You Instead of doing that, what you do is you reclaim that territory. You walk it and you say, I'm walking in love. I'm walking in peace in this area, and I'm bringing this area back to hope, because we need more hope in this area. And that's all you're doing. And of course, again, just as a disclaimer, you don't do this willy-nilly. You do it where you're called to do it. You'll find yourself in places. Like if you find yourself in a place, why am I in this place? And the energy's so dark here. Because you're a light worker and you're brought there to raise up that energy. And just go inside, talk to God, talk to your guides, ask for help. How do I do this? How do I clear this energy? And it's usually really simple. It's usually just walking around that area. So I wanted to share that. I guess that was my whole point for today, is that it's not about sealing things. And I think that's part of our like part of the history that we're leaving, I think, is sealing things, and people feeling that they have to, no, this is dangerous, and this we have to. It's like, we are very powerful. We're powerful as human beings, and we're made of love, and so we're here to bring the love. So bring on the love. And so I think that was what I wanted to say about that. Yeah, and I did want to share one other thing that was interesting for me, is that recently, so I went to this shrine. Was it a shrine? It's a temple. It's a temple for Vajrayana Buddhism. Vajrayana Buddhism is very rare throughout the world. Japan is one of the only. Well, it exists in other places, but Japan is. I think I talked about this before, but Japan is a. What is it? It's a library. It's a museum. It's not a museum. It's a library of lost ideas, of lost cultures, of lost religions. And it's being preserved, kind of like that movie, The Fifth Element. If you've ever seen that movie, The Fifth Element, there is this old shrine out in the middle of the desert. And archaeologists are going to study it, and no one knows what it's for. But there's a man there that actually works there, and he had been he and then his father and his great grandfather, all of his ancestors from thousands of years, had been tending this this shrine, and it was not a shrine, but it was an actual technological device that will be used for a certain point in Earth's history. And that's what Japan, there's a lot of that in Japan. And so this Vajrayana Buddhism is really well preserved. It came over from China, or from the Silk Road, after I think some sort of disaster happened. I see something happened. It was maybe a reset of some sort. But anyway, so there's a big one near my house, and I took a walk to it. And usually in the main area, if I go to the main area, they have this garden. So there's like a shrine, and all the Buddhist monks are kind of chanting. And then behind that, there's like this garden. And there's nothing there. It's just a few trees. It's nothing special. But that's where the energy is. And I kind of go there, and it's just like this very disorienting energy where you don't know where north is, you don't know where south is. And it feels like you're just floating. And it's not a good feeling. Like, and after you leave it, you feel really drained. Like when a mosquito bites you or something. When the mosquito's biting you, there's like this kind of like, they put this little bit of some sort of poison or something in you, and it's a euphoric feeling. And like, oh, but then afterwards you feel really drained. Or you just feel really itchy from the mosquito. But so I always assumed that this place is one of those kind of energy places where it's one of those, it's a parasitic place, right? But then there's this other place, other kind of shrine or temple. I don't know what to call them anymore. It's all mixed up here. But there's this other place, and it's way behind it, and it's kind of hidden, and there's no signs for it and anything, and it's just this like one kind of temple sort of thing, and there's nothing around, and you just go in. And I went in, and then you can go around the back of it, and there's just like, I guess, 8 different places where you can stop and pray, I guess. But I don't pray in these places. I used to, because I thought that was a polite thing to do, but I don't, it's not my religion. Like, I'm not religious. I'm just there to feel the energy. But I'm not there to be disrespectful in any way, but just, yeah. So, but anyway, so I just went in and just felt the energy, and it was this amazing and beautiful energy, ecstatic energy. Like you just, well, I couldn't tell north or south or east or west. I was like floating, but it was this beautiful, ecstatic experience, the similar experience that I get when I meditate, and I just get this feel like this connection with source, and that's what it was. I'm just like, wow, this is so great. But I'm like, I hope this isn't one of those things where after I come home, I'm going to be drained. But I wasn't. It wasn't one of those places. And so, yeah. So anyway, the idea of that is that these places are portals. One way of calling them is portals. They're energetic portals. You think about ley lines, and all of the, basic, these big, pyramids, for example, or these old churches. I always think about Fifth Avenue, New York City. They have those huge, beautiful churches. You go in, and the energies can be pretty weird in there, actually, to tell the truth. But it's intense. But you can feel the energy. You can feel the portal there. And with these portals, they can be tuned. They can be tuned neutrally, positively, negatively. And one of the things that I think as light workers, I know I am, is called to retune these portals, tune them back to neutral, so that we have a choice. So it's not like we just go into this place and like, oh, it's so dark. We have a choice, We have a choice. That's the one thing that we have on this planet. We have the choice to choose, fear or love. So that's my big spiel that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, and I went all over the place. And I think that's everything I wanted to say. Yeah. But in the end, again, yeah, just to end up with this, everything is like on our planet. It's all this kind of yin and yang, right? But remember that you're not the yin and yang, and that when you connect with what you are, that you're purely made of love. You're just love. You're just love incarnate on this planet. And you took on this body, and you're taking on this, like you're in this world where there's good and bad and up and down and all this kind of stuff. But you're made of love. So remember that the more, this is what they were saying in my channeling just recently, that the more you associate with who you truly are, the healthier you'll be, the more at peace you'll be, the more everything in your life will go much more smoothly, because you'll realize, oh, this isn't me, I'm not this body, I'm not this pain, I'm not this sadness, I'm not this anxiousness, I'm not this fear, I'm not this worrying about what the world's going to happen. It's not me. This is not me. I'm love. I'm always love. And I can just go inside. I can go into that middle path. I can go inside and just connect with that ecstatic feeling of just peace, of just love, that everything's okay. It's always okay. The world outside, it's chaotic. It's always chaotic. It's always been chaotic. But the world inside is love. And from one of the channelings, they said, right, what you can do when you start to feel these chaotic feelings that everyone's kind of feeling these days, watching the news or trying not to watch the news, is you can just, it's like you're in the top of the ocean and there's these wild waves. It's these huge waves. It's just so rough. What you can do is just kind of like put your hands up. And when you put your hands up, you go under the water. And then you go under the water and it's peaceful. It's quiet. All those waves are just happening on the surface, but underneath everything, there's true peace. And so you can just go down there in that peace and feel that peace. And then when you're ready to come up, you can come up. But yeah, anytime, anywhere you are, wherever you are, in a crowded traffic jam, or in a really, really tense situation, there's always a place where you can just take a few seconds and just go into peace. And that peace, you can string those moments of peace together. I think that's what they said. String those moments of peace together as little pearls, and you can wear them around your neck. And the more that you string them together, the more that you'll have, and you'll find that those moments of peace will stretch into hours of peace, into months of peace. So, anyway, that's my spiel for today. I'm not going to do any channeling today. I don't feel comfortable at the moment channeling live. But yeah, so Kathy, thanks for joining in. And you say, yes, the world inside is love. Exactly, right? And that's all we need to remember. Whenever we're watching all the news and all these kind of things, just send love out, and also remember the adage from the Course in Miracles, I don't know what anything is for. I don't know what this is for. Who knows what it's for? I don't know what it's for, but I know in the end, everything is for our own good. So, all right. Okay. I hope you guys are hopeful. And thanks, Kathy, for joining in. Yeah. So talk to you guys later. Ciao, ciao.